everyone, Mango7Roll here. How we doing today? Welcome to another episode of Epic 7. Today we're going to be doing not patch notes, I guess they're developer notes. That is super out of the blue. Was not expecting this whatsoever. It's so weird when they give us stuff now. It's like they had a strict schedule before. Like they only gave us information on certain days, and now they're just kind of giving it to us willy-nilly, which is why this video is so late, because I was sleeping. Anyways, we've got Judge Kise here. I have not really read these yet. I've kind of browsed over and heard some from guild chat. But we've got Judge Kise here. So it also says tentative changes. So End of Evil, 75% chance to dispel a buff, soul burn to grant an additional turn. That's really good. So one thing I want to do is take a look at the characters while we do this, just to make sure we are refreshed on what they do. Because they don't always lay this out the best in the game. So that skill was End of Evil. That's her second skill, right? Yeah, there we go. So her End of Evil, instead of just doing damage, it now has a 75% chance to dispel a buff. That's really cool. So what the idea is behind this, I'm assuming, is have her on a team with Tagael's Tome, get a 75% chance AoE dispel a buff, and then follow up with her skill 3, and her skill 3 has been increased from 70% to 75%. And they're both AoE, right? I just want to make sure they're both AoE. Yeah, they're both AoE. Cool. So that's pretty great. So that's a lot of damage too. And one of the things we might not really consider here is, I'm not really sure what her multipliers are, but this is now 2 AoEs you can do. So she's probably going to do a good amount of damage. She's also probably going to get at least a couple silences off. So I think she's going to be absolutely fantastic now, I think. Like, judging by her skill change. And her base speed is like 116 or something like that. 115. So she's not too slow either. So really happy with this change. I think this kind of enables her for a lot of the problems she had. That's so cool. It's also 1 buff, which could be kind of dangerous because you could get like an immunity buff to start off with and Cecilia's shield. So what happens at that point? I guess we will see. Maid Chloe. Oh my god. So I've played a lot of Maid Chloe in my life because I used her on one of my alt accounts. And this is so exciting to see. So VIP treatment, before all it did was, let's go find her really quick here. Where is she? Maid Chloe, come on out. Here we go. Before, all it did was give them attack buff and grants revive. It doesn't actually revive them, it just grants them a revive buff. So now what does it do? Restores health to a certain percentage for allies who died in battle. Attack increase applies to allies. I don't really understand. Oh, that's adding it, right? So what this does now is it revives heroes. It then heals them for whatever percentage it is, and then it attack buffs after. So this will hit the thing after. This means it's no longer a buff. It's just something that revives when she uses it. That seems nutters, I think. That seems really nutters if I'm understanding that correctly. The buff just wasn't working out because, like, it never went off. It always got dispelled. There were so many things wrong with Maid Chloe before. That's going to be a huge buff, and she's, I think, definitely going to, if I'm understanding correctly, definitely going to be in Arena at the top, kind of screwing you over. Like, Ruel and her on the same team. Like, who are you going to kill? I have no idea who, but I'm not going to fight them for sure. We have Violet next, and Violet's, please be a buff. Violet's chance of evasion has been increased? Why? Full specs will be listed in detail. So Duel Accepted says the chance to evasion has been increased from 30 to 35%. When used, removes 2 of your own debuffs. Why? What? Out of all the people in the game that needed a change, I feel like it wasn't Violet. Like, where? I just don't understand this. I'm not arguing because this is awesome. I love this, and I think thematically and flavorfully, is that the right word? Fits perfectly with Violet, right? Like, a Duel Accepted, you want to start on solid ground with each other, right? Like, he's so perfect for that. And I love the flavor behind this change, and that makes me really happy. So I guess there's that. Also, Violet's going to be harder to kill. Yay! So on to BBK. I actually don't fully know BBK's skills. So let's go take a look at her really quick. And what skills change? Sequential Cutter and Blood Art Dragon. So Blood Art Dragon, or Blade Art Dragon, attacks all enemies, sacrificing 20% of the caster's health, and grants the caster an extra turn. Art Dragon, or Blade Art Mango, Blade Art Dragon says damage increased by 20% and cooldown reduced by 1 turn. That's pretty big. Her cooldown on it is, I'm guessing, 6 turns? Yeah, 6 turns, so down to 5 turns with that, down to 4 turns with that. So that's a pretty big change. 20% extra damage is pretty huge. From everything I remember, whenever I fight BBK, she does enough damage, so that's kind of a good change, I think, for her. And Sequential Cutter, our healing will be increased by 2 times, so that's her first skill, right? Okay, that's really cool too. Yeah, that's a really solid change to BBK, and she needs a little boost like that. That's a really cool boost. I really do like this. And it keeps her healthy by herself, which is what I like. Coli did not need a buff. Again, another one like Violet that I don't understand why she's here. She was not selected often? Are you sure? I'm pretty sure she was selected very often. So Assassin Coli now silences all enemies when she stuns her target with her S3 instead of applying the debuff silence after an enemy is defeated. That confuses me because her S3 applied before. Let me open her up here. Her S3 applied before when she got a kill, right? And she's always getting a kill, am I right? Like that's why you use a Coli. She gets the kill. 100% chance of stuns, so that's cool. But that's not why you use this skill. You use this skill because it does a ton of damage and you get a kill with the AoE silence. So, what happens? Like, does... Smilegate, what are you doing? So I'm a little confused again. So, this is placed as a buff. Like, this is written as a buff. But, if I'm an Coli user, I use her to one-shot something. Like, her entire job is to open up the battle, one-shot somebody, silence the rest. So what happens now, if you one-shot somebody, stun is not applied because you kill them before the stun happens, and now no silence. I just don't fully understand this, and I don't understand, and if that's true, that's definitely a nerf. That's not a buff. So I guess we'll see what happens with that. That's so weird. This change was made so that a Coli can be selected in more situations, which will lead to a greater diversity of teams. Are you sure? Okay. On to Corvus here. I don't understand Corvus's abilities either. They're choosing a lot of people that I don't know about, which is actually a pretty good thing because that means they're not really ever used. So let's take a look at Corvus here. So what skill change? All of them. So let's just read through Corvus's abilities here. So Shield Slam transfers debuffs, right? 50% chance to transfer debuffs proportionate to defense. Macerate. I never knew his name. His ability was called Macerate. That's the coolest thing. Anyway, decreasing combat readiness by 20%, and it stuns when it's down to 0. So hopefully they increase the combat readiness a little bit more on this. Fury's Advent strengthens the caster with Fighting Spirit, recovering health and increasing defense, grants an extra turn. Shield Slam increases damage dealt. Macerate decreases the enemy's combat readiness and acquires 10 Fighting Spirit. Okay, so what does this do? What changes did we get to Corvus? So Shield Slam and Macerate just added 10 Fighting Spirit. And they removed the cooldown of Fury's Advent. That's really cool. So I honestly have no real experience using Fighting Spirit characters. So I'm not sure how this is going to play out. And I don't really have any good thoughts behind it because I just don't have anybody that uses Fighting Spirit. So I've never actually used it in action. But that's pretty cool. Hopefully that's a good buff. Hopefully you guys can tell me what that looks like on him. Next, let's take a look at Cartuja here. They're changing Predatory Roar, which is his AoE attack down with a heal attached to it too. And what does it do now? Increased defense for 2 turns added. That's really cool. Cooldown reduced by 1. Damage multiplier increased by 2. That's a lot. but I don't know if it's enough, right? Like, I just don't see it being enough. His danger zone just isn't the greatest, and his skill 1 just isn't the greatest either, so I don't see this helping him enough for it to matter. He's got an okay kit, but I just think there's better options for that. Anyway, let's take a look at Purrgis now. Purrgis has kind of got a pretty cool kit too. He's got a 35% chance to decrease speed. Decrease speed, I think, is one of the best buffs in the game, or best debuffs in the game, I think. Not many people really have it, and it's really solid to have. Get Lost hits all enemies when counterattacking with a 20% chance to counterattack when attacked. So that's up to a 30% chance. That's really cool. Attacks all enemies with a powerful ground pound, stunning for 1 turn if they have less than 30% health. So I think Final Blow is the big problem with this skill set. It just under 30% health, like that doesn't ever happen, and I feel like that's something they need to change if they're going to do that. So Purrgis' Falling Strike, that's his first skill. Yeah, first skill here. 50% chance to decrease speed and or reduce combat readiness by 20%. I'm confused. Let me read this again. Purrgis had an interesting mechanic in which a single attack, Fallen Strike, when counterattacking, is transformed into an AoE attack which reduces speed. You have improved this skill, so now, in addition to reducing speed, Fallen Strike now apply... Oh, okay, I get it. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. So now he's going to get reduced speed for the whole team and also reduced combat readiness for the whole team. I think he's actually got a really good kit now, but I think Final Blow just needs to change just a little bit. Ooh, Lots is... Wow, there's a lot of people on this list. Lots is really exciting because Lots is one of those units that just is not good enough for early game healing, I think. He's got a really great kit, but just nowhere near as much as a bunch of the other ones. So let's take a look at his kit first. I've got it on the screen. I sure do. His first skill is decrease attack 50% up to 75, I think. Up to 70 with this upgraded. His skill 2 has an 80% combat readiness with a little bit of healing involved. And his third one here has combat readiness of allies and continuous healing. So the main problem with him when using him in dungeons or Abyss or something like that was he just didn't have enough active healing. Like, he had a lot of really good passive healing, and he was really good at CR manipulation, really good at speeding your team up. But just the amount of continuous healing and raw healing output he did was not enough. So maybe they changed that. The regen, which is his skill 2, increases caster's combat readiness by 30%. That's a pretty cool change. That helps him out a lot. So that boosts a target by 80% and him by 30%. That's really cool. And Serenity is his skill 3, and it now recovers a set percentage of health of all eyes. Nice. So that's really good. That's really, really, really good. So that's exactly what he needed, and I'm really, really, really excited for this. And I hope he becomes used. I think he's going to be insane now. Maybe not insane, but I think he's going to be usable. He's got 101 speed as well. He's got tons of CR manipulation. I feel like I'm definitely going to be building Lots pretty soon. He's also got a dual attack imprint, which is fantastic for a healer IMO. That's exciting. That's probably my favorite change so far. And then we have Arbiter Vildred. And Arbiter Vildred is getting a huge change, but it's just a crap ton of attack. Like, he's going to get 100% hit chance decrease. It's not going to be affected by the health loss, which is kind of unfortunate because thematically and flavorfully, that's what fits with him, but it just didn't work out in practice. So that's really cool. And they're also going to reduce cooldowns, get a ton of extra damage decreases. Pretty big change for him, but we already saw this in the last patch. Same with Ravi. We did see this in the last patch. Both of these changes are going to be fantastic, I think, and I'm pretty excited for that. Sigrid, I don't know if we saw. We did see it from the last one too. These are the 3 we saw, and it's just a chance to inflict bleeding 35 to 50%. And I don't like that. I think what it should be instead is the chance on inflicting bleeding effects happens twice. So she has 2 chances at it, and both are like 75%. So that way there's a good chance you land at least 1, which is really important, instead of okay chance you land 2. I don't really like that, and I think consistency is a little more key with debuffs like that. Okay, that's about it. So, this is kind of funny. This is really funny, this patch, or this preemptive patch. So, what I can see from this is there's 0 done to top teams. There's nothing at all changed that will change anything in the meta, except for making it harder to kill them, right? Like, the only change that does anything to the top 100 I can really see or think of is the Maid Chloe change. And that's just going to make the defense teams even more dangerous to fight and even more lame to fight. Like, I don't know what to say about that, you know? Like, I was expecting a shakeup with the top arena, and there's literal 0 of that I can see here. Maybe Judge Kise will help out, but you also have to remember the top arena teams all have infinity resistance. So even if you have a Dispel on your skill 2 and you can Soul Burn to go twice, you're probably not going to actually get too many abilities off and land too many of your debuffs. So that's kind of surprising. I don't know what to say. What do you guys think of these changes? They're all mostly great. Like, I'm pretty happy with most of them, and most of them make sense, but it just doesn't change what we needed to change. It didn't really do what we needed to do, if that makes sense. So while I appreciate these, it's not what I was expecting, and I think a lot of other people were expecting. Anyways, thank you so much for watching. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe as always, and I'll talk to y'all later. Have a wonderful day. Bye, everybody!